Hey guys, and welcome back to the CTFC Perspective, and in today's video we're going to be doing a match preview on Bristol City's game versus Middlesbrough. We're going to be going into in-depth analysis on all the possible things you could need for today's game. This goes from their recent form, the last match they played, their star man, their top scorer, and even the Bookies Odds, and much more. I really hope you guys do enjoy, and let's get into it. Just a quick disclaimer before we do go into today's video. For the next few videos and the few weeks in general, we are going to be focusing mainly on Bristol City content. I'm going to be trying to bring League 2 content out for you as well, but as there is not that much stuff going on with Cheltenham at the moment, obviously with them not being able to finish their season, well, they were with the playoffs, and we're not going to go into that again. And as Bristol City is playing at the moment, and we have had Bristol City videos on the channel previously, just like the last one. If you haven't checked out the video on Lee Johnson's sacking, please go check it out. In my opinion, it was a really good video, and I would love all your support. And yeah, that's about it. Without further ado, let's get into the video. We are going to start off by analysing Bristol City. The first section we're going to go through, as always, is what was their recent performance. Bristol City's last performance was a 2-1 win over Hull City. The goal scorers were Famara Jeju, a proper striker, poacher's effort, getting it in, bottom corner, good finish. Love to see that from your striker. We then made it 2-0 in the 53rd minute by what a goal, what a free kick. Upper Benjamin's posting in on the line. Oh, absolute beauty by Jamie Patterson to make it 2-0. And for the first time ever, as a Bristol City fan, even though sadly I didn't watch the game because you had to pay for it and it wasn't actually on Sky or anything, I did see all the goals and highlights, and what a performance it was. Even though Hull lost, they actually did beat us on shots, having 13 to our 9, but we were more crucial with our efforts, getting 5 on target to their 3. We did majorly control the game though, having 56% possession, and even though it may only look like small margins, that 56% possession is usually the dominant team in a game. They did actually get a lot more fouls in that game than Bristol City as well. And that explanation brings us on to our next topic, which is the club's form. Well, even though we can take positives that with the new management, I guess you could say, caretaker manager, we did get a win, fresh new start and everything. We still have to take into consideration that in our last 5 games, we did lose 4 on the bounce, and we did just end that terrible run with a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But as I explained in my previous video, those last 4 games were a 3-1 loss to Blackburn, a 2-1 loss to Sheffield's Wednesday, a 1-0 loss to Nottingham Forest, and then our most recent being a 1-0 loss to Cardiff. So that means our last 5 results were 4 L's and 1 big W. This then segues on very nicely to the table, in which we're in 12th place on 58 points. We have a goal difference of -6. Bristol City's form then segues on very nicely to our next segment, which is our position in the table. We currently find ourselves in 12th position on 58 points with a goal difference of -6. But depending on results, we can go all the way up to 8th position. But that would be if Preston, Derby, Blackburn and Millwall all do not pick up a point. And for my second pick, I've gone for Mr. Consistent. It's Andreas Bowman. Now, we've seen him score both in the opposition's goal and our own goal before, but we don't really go into that last one. He has bagged himself 9 goals and 3 assists this season in his 41 starts, out of a possible 42, I may add. And he has a 75% pass accuracy. I can really see him controlling the game, whether that is if he plays more forward or more in a deep midfield winger role. I can just see him picking up a lot of the ball and causing those defenders havoc. Then we have the top scorer at the club. Now this is a pretty controversial one because it actually isn't the top goal scorer for the club. Even though he's bagged a few for the club, it's not all of them. I'm talking about Nahki Wells, because statistic-wise, this season he has got himself 16 goals and 3 assists in his 39 appearances. Now, this is better stats-wise than everyone at the club, but obviously they are not all at the club. Otherwise, it will obviously have to go to Jeju, which I previously read his stats out for you guys, I don't know who you would give it to. I'd probably give it to Nahki Wells, even though obviously they were not all at the club. But write a comment in the comment section to see what you think about this. And now we move on to the final segment for Bristol City. And this is a new segment that we've added, which is Bookies Odds. So the bookies have Bristol City's odds for this game as 29-10. And then with that all said and done, we are on to the second section of the video, which is where we analyse the opposition, in this case, Middlesbrough. And their last performance was a 2-0 victory against Millwall. And now looking at the statistics, it was a very undeserved win. They lost on shots, Millwall getting 9 with their 5. They actually got less shots on target somehow. Millwall got 4 shots on target to Middlesbrough 3. And they lost on possession as well, with Millwall getting 55% of the ball. Their goals came reasonably late, with their first goal coming in the 68th minute and their second goal being a penalty by Ashley Fletcher in the 87th minute. With their last performance explained, we now move on to Middlesbrough's form. And even though very similar to Bristol City's, it's slightly different nonetheless. So their form is a 3-0 loss to Swansea, a 2-0 win against Stoke, a 2-1 loss against Hull, a 1-0 loss against QPR, and then their recent performance being a 2-0 win. So a loss, win, loss, loss, win. So once again, no consistency, but I think they're hunting for another back-to-back win, just like Bristol are. Now, Middlesbrough are in a slight bit of trouble. They find themselves in 18th place on 47 points with a goal difference of -11. So, they are 11 points behind Bristol City, leaving Bristol City comfortably safe and hopefully going for those playoff positions. But Middlesbrough, if the results do not go their way and they do lose this game, they could go as low as 22nd, with 23rd only being on 44 points and 22nd only being on 45. So the whole bottom half of the table really is in quite a bit of trouble, and they're all going to be hoping for results, especially Middlesbrough in this game. The two players I would personally look out for if I was Bristol City right now, the first of which is Jonathon Housen. So he hasn't actually got a goal this season, but he's played 38 out of the possible 42 matches this season, bagging himself 6 assists with a 72% pass accuracy, which isn't too bad, and he could cause a little bit of trouble in the middle of the park. And the second of which being Britt Assombalonga. In his 31 appearances this season, he's managed to get himself 8 goals and 2 assists with a 65% pass accuracy, which for a striker isn't too bad. And depending on which Assombalonga actually turns up, if we give him too much space, he could smash one straight into the back of the net. And just gotta hope the defence and the goalkeeper especially is on fine form today. And if it wasn't for him having the most goal contributions at the club, my other choice for player to watch would be Ashley Fletcher. He's played 39 out of a possible 42 games this season, and he's bagged himself 10 goals as well as getting 6 assists. So another man which we just cannot afford to give him too much space or time on the ball, because we could learn to really rue what we did. As we could learn to really rue our mistakes. And then we have our second section of Bookies Odds. So for Middlesbrough to win this game, the bookies have it at 1-1, with it being at 9-4 for a draw. Before we move on to my final decision, we have one last segment to go through, and that is going through the last time these two clubs played each other, and it was a very action-packed encounter with the final score ending up to be 2-2. Casey Palmer started off the scoring in the 44th minute before the game was made 1-1 by Taylor Moore scoring an own goal. Then, just after, in the 68th minute, Britt Assombalonga made it 2-1 to Middlesbrough, and then finally in the 81st minute, Tommy Rowe made the game 2-2, in which it ended. Like I said, it was very action-packed, with Bristol City getting 18 shots, just beaten by Middlesbrough's 20, and they both had 5 shots on target. Middlesbrough did dominate possession, however, with 58%, and apart from that, all the other statistics were pretty similar. 13 fouls to Middlesbrough's 11. They both picked up 1 yellow card and both received no reds. So, with all that in mind, I'm going to say that it's going to be a pretty close game. Nothing's ever easy with Bristol, and obviously Middlesbrough do really want to get those points because they don't want to be fighting a relegation battle anytime soon. I think that Bristol will go 1-0 down. I think we're finally going to concede under this new management. And who do I think is going to score it? I can probably see Fletcher getting the goal, just maybe a really scrappy goal, poor defending, probably an Ashley Williams mistake. But then I think we're going to go into the break and we're going to be looking at ourselves at the break and we're going to think, no, we can win this. We should be winning this game. We're the much better side on paper. And I think we're going to come out like a prime Barcelona in the second half. And I think we'll win 2-1 or 3-1. I would say with my heart 3-1, but I'm going to go with a confident prediction 2-1 to Bristol City. Just purely on the fact that they have very similar form. And even though both teams want this win, obviously for completely different reasons, I just think Bristol are going to want it that just tad bit more, obviously with the change in management and change in surroundings the last couple of days. And that is it, guys. I really hope you guys did enjoy this type of video. It takes me and Tyler quite a long time to get these videos out, obviously, because we're going to have to get them out much more frequently as Bristol City are playing. Like I said, we're going to be focusing on Bristol City whilst the football is on. And when the EFL Championship season does end, we are going to try and disperse the content into more evenly and obviously moderately more Cheltenham content. But as I said earlier, there isn't that much Cheltenham news, so we're going to try and bring out as much content as possible for you guys, because obviously we aren't going to leave you guys with no content during this quarantine time. If you did enjoy this video, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel and smash that notification bell so you know when a video goes live. Both our links will be down in the description like always and on screen here. 2 videos like this will be on screen very shortly, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.